What's up, guys? Another day, another York rooftop unit, 10-ton, I believe. We were here on Monday. Customer said they heard rattling, shaking, banging noises. We deemed it the blower bearings. I'm gonna open this rooftop up, put the belt back on, and show you what it was doing. All right, power's on. Watch these bearings go. You guys see that? How loose the belt tensioning is? That banging and rattling sound? That right there is a clear indicator that your bearings are cooked. Let's pull this blower slide out. Oh my God, it's stuck. Try and give you guys a better look at these blower bearings. See this north to south, east to west movement on this pulley side bearing here? That's brutal. And if you look through here, you can see our bracket has a hole in it. So that's our bearing bracket mounted to our housing. We're gonna have to change that too. Anyways, today we're gonna replace this bearing 100%. And we're also gonna probably do this one too. Let's hope these come off the shaft clean. We're gonna need to pull this housing slide out even further, but the problem is, if I go any more, it's gonna collapse in front of me. And I don't have a second guy here, otherwise I would. So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna get our tape measure, and we're gonna see roughly off the floor, something that's 31 inches, 30 inches will work for us. So we're gonna go see if we can find a couple pieces of wood and make a support for that so we can pull it out more. All right, big W to the customer. They actually let us borrow these two mic stands, which are 34 inches, but as you can see, we got tons of room to access this now. We don't need a second guy. So sometimes, guys, it's better to work smarter than harder. The only other alternative would be to pull this entire assembly out, probably take this motor off and work with it on the floor. But this here is much more manageable. So W customer. What we're gonna do first is we're gonna spray all of this down. Make sure our pulley comes off clean. I would have changed this too, but the supplier said that they were back ordered for 2 months, if you can believe that. Oh well. So once all that's nice and cleaned up, we'll let this penetrating oil, the high performance penetrating lubricant, which I picked up at a local supplier, and then we'll do the same to our back end. This bearing here, keep in mind, is still fine, but I mean, it's just a matter of time before it fails. Might as well change it while you can. We'll let that sit for about 10 minutes and then we'll try and get these bearings off. We'll take that pulley off and we'll have to go pick up a bracket. It's one thing I didn't get. All right, moment of truth here. Let's see if this old rusty set screw. Oh, wow. That penetrating oil works really, really well. See, we would have been screwed if we couldn't get this off because there were none available and I don't feel like outsourcing it at a bearing supplier right now. But I'm gonna show you guys how to get this blower pulley off next. What I have here is a puller, a pulley puller. And they're very simple to use, but it's pretty much a must, especially if you do commercial work. Maybe not so much residential, but you'll need one of these. So the idea behind these is these hooks here, these claws, grab the inside portion of our pulley, and then this center shaft here drives against our blower shaft. Once you have it fixed in place, you're just going to throw an adjustable wrench on the back end and give her some turns. Works like a dream. Look how smooth that's coming off. I'm barely putting any force into turning this adjustable. And would you look at that? Beautiful. Next, we got to get our keyway off. So it's been on there for quite some time. We'll just give it a couple taps and boom. Now that we've gotten our pulley and our keyway off, this shaft has to be spotless. Any and all rust has to be removed. Otherwise, we're gonna have a hell of a time getting that bearing off. I'm just using a little bit of grit cloth. Shafts usually clean up pretty easily. Now that our shaft is clean, this is the scary part here. We're gonna try and break that set screw free on this bearing. This looks really rusty. The penetrating oil's been on there now for about 20 minutes. If this strips, we're pretty much screwed. We're gonna have to change the entire shaft. We're gonna have to probably do the wheel too, but here we go. I'm gonna give it a good crank. Oh my God. Okay, it's not breaking free. We're gonna try it with a smaller Allen key. You might be able to get more leverage. Let's hold this wheel. Oh my God. I don't know if this is gonna happen today. We might be getting into a whole entire new blower wheel and shaft. Let's try with a little more leverage from an adjustable, but if this doesn't happen, guys, the job just got a whole lot harder. Okay, that's not happening. I just torqued my Allen key, if you guys can see that. This is a big fail. We're gonna have to change this entire wheel and shaft. Now that we know we have to change our shaft, our wheel, our bearings, and our bracket plate, we're gonna use a Sawzall and try and cut the shaft inside here. That way we can pull this out and maybe we'll have enough give on the other side. If not, we'll have to make a cut here and then we'll drop this wheel out of the housing. All right, final cut. There we go. Shaft cut. So we just finished the cut on the other side of the blower housing, or the shaft. We had no other choice but to cut this. The wheel will come out only one way, and I'm going to show you exactly how now. This blower wheel here can't physically fit out of either side of these. It's bigger than this enclosure. The only way to get these out is from the bottom here. So this piece of steel here can be removed, but we wouldn't be able to get it out with the shaft sticking through this side. So that's why we made the cuts. These screws here hold in this steel plate, but I also noticed that there's a bolt on the other side. I've seen other rooftop manufacturers actually spot weld a nut onto there so you don't have to back wrench it. Of course, once again, York is out to screw us. So let's take off this bottom plate now and slide out this old wheel. There's one. There's our second. I just noticed this plate here has two more screws. right in the bottom of this housing. That's going to be fun to get at. Let's try and get those now. Whoops, wrong way. Let's go. So as I was saying before, this wheel only has one way out, and it's through the bottom. There she is. Okay, so now we got to replace this bracket here. York refuses to spot weld nuts on the inside, so we need a back wrench. Okay. And there it is. Brand new bracket is going to go in place. Again, I've said this about 9 times already, but I'm cursing York's name. Just having to reach inside here and have a wrench on the other side is so frustrating. York, do better. We're ready to throw our new wheel in. There's our old one. But we're going to confirm airflow. So if you can see, these scoopers are facing this way, curved that way. So on this blower housing, we actually have an arrow for flow of direction. So you're going to want your scoopers in the direction of the arrow. Let's pop this thing in now. Don't forget to put this back on. This is the worst part about this job. Okay. Line this up. Let's go. Tighten this bad boy down. Nice. We're going to do the same to the other side, and then we're going to deal with the pain in the ass bolts behind. Back wrench on. Tighten that up. Whoops. Be careful for that. Phillips screws, garbage. Back wrench on. Okay. All right, guys, so here's a little hack. This is the screw that went under here very tight in through a pre-drilled hole into that plate we just installed. We're not going to go through the hassle of fiddling with this for half an hour, maybe more, trying to get 2 screws in, one on each side. We're going to use this little sheet metal Robinson. The head is very, very low profile. We're going to go in through here. We have enough space in between these turning vanes here, and we're going to go this way down as opposed from the back up. Now, if you guys had a second person here, you could pull this whole slide out and take it apart, but since I'm by myself, this is how I'm going to put it back. All right, I hope my camera picks this up, but we got to carefully, there we go. And would you look at that, guys? No need to go from the back forward. That's a W. All right, guys, let's get to installing this shaft. So 2 things to keep in mind. There was a sticker that came on this shaft. I've cleaned it off. You want to make sure you have absolutely nothing on this shaft. You can't have little nicks in it, any imperfections, because everything fits like a glove. It'll give you a hell of a time. You're going to want to clean those off if you do with sand cloth or a file of some sort. Secondly, this shaft has notches in it here, flat spots, for our blower wheel set screws. Also, it has a machined area here, a cutout. This is for our blower pulley keyway. This side of the shaft always has to be on the same side of the housing as your motor pulley is. This is where your belt drive's gonna operate. The other side is just round. All right, let's stick it in the hole. That's what she said. Okay. This can be a little bit difficult. Just be gentle with it and be patient. There we go. All right, guys, remember I mentioned these flat spots on the shaft? I believe this one has 3 of them. 1, 2, and 3. They have to line up, two of them have to line up with these set screws here. That's how we're gonna get a good grab. So I'm gonna grab a hold of our shaft here and I'm gonna spin this wheel until, or I guess I'll spin the shaft until we get, there we go, 2 flat sections. So 1 flat section here, 1 flat section here. Next thing you wanna do is you're gonna tighten these up. Set these down. And give them a couple turns with an adjustable or a valve wrench. This is my valve wrench here. We're gonna give these a few good turns. Okay, there's one. Spin that wheel. Oh, too deep. Okay. We almost just lost our blower housing. Okay, we've just tightened up our other side of our shaft, those 2 set screws on our flat spots. Now we're gonna install our bearings. So the gap between the housing, which you can see here, should be equal on each side. So I have about a finger space there. And we have about a finger space, maybe a touch more here. So we'll pull this back. You're gonna want that equal on both sides. You don't want the side of your housing grinding on your fan wheel because you'll be back in no time. So let's install these bearings. It's bearing time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spray that shaft just with a little bit of that, what is it called again? I forget. Penetrating lubricant. And we're gonna take our bearing here. This is what it looks like. We're gonna have these letters facing outwards because that's where our lock collar is going on. This flush side sits on the inside here. Oh, almost forgot. All of this crap in here. Let's wipe this away. So we wanna have a nice clean surface for our bearing to sit on. We'll make sure we have a little bit of grease on the outside too. And all these do is they slide into place, kind of like so. You're gonna have to watch your wheel again because it will tend to slide. I mean, the gapping that we had before from side to side, but I remember it was about a finger, so we're good there. This is pushed in all the way. Awesome. Now we'll put our lock collar on. Lock collar. So you see how it's not fully going into the shaft? Just give it a couple turns and you'll find the spot where, there it is. It's in place now. So the other thing too, we have our set screw, which is where our Allen key goes. And then we have this just little bullet hole here. So the purpose behind that is you're gonna wanna take an awl and you're gonna wanna punch it in the direction of airflow. So give it a couple taps. That just kind of fixes it in place. And then this set screw here, you just get your T-bar Allen key. Oop, if we can get it in. And yeah, you're gonna wanna tighten this bad boy down. Now, I like to give it one good one, come back and set it once more in there really good, just like so. Here's the other side of our blower housing. I've already slid our bearing on. I was just gonna give you a different angle of this lock collar again. So Allen key setting screw, open punch hole, won't connect. There it is. And our wheel's turning this way, so we're going clockwise. We're gonna get our punch again, and we're gonna punch it in the direction of airflow, lock it in place, and tighten her up. Brake, and tighten. What I've done next is we're using our old machine key, our keyway. You can see our old groove mark, but I just laid a piece of sand cloth flat against the rooftop unit, grabbed it like a Jenga block and kind of cleaned it up. So this is nice and clean, brand new shaft. We're gonna insert this into our groove, and let's get our blower pulley on. Here's our old blower pulley. Like I said, I would have got a new one if they had one in stock, but if you look at it this way, it's not worn too bad. This is fine, and blower pulleys usually don't fail. It's usually your motor pulley. But on the inside here, if you could see all that rust, get a rag and try and have a skinny finger and just clean all this shit out. You can even run sand cloth through the inside. I'm probably gonna do that in a second, just to make sure this goes onto the shaft with no issues. We're just cleaning up anything that could get in our way, any imperfections in the pulley, any metal burrs. That's all you really need. Let's slide this blower pulley into place. Nice and smooth. Awesome. We'll square it up with our motor shiv pulley, and we'll tighten that set screw down. Trying to give you guys the best angle possible, but I have this flat piece of metal here. And if you've watched my last video, I hope you're watching my videos, we're looking for 4-point contacts. So point A, B, C, and D, which we have. All 4 points of the pulleys are touching, so we know we're in perfect alignment. Let's tighten our blower pulley set screw onto our keyway. One good one. Break it back and really dig that set screw in to that machine key. There's our housing, guys. After you're done too, always give it a spin. At this point in time, I sure hope you had the air direction curve correct, which we do. Yeah, just give her a spin, make sure you don't hear any sounds, any grinding, everything sounds smooth. We can now push this housing back in. We might put our belt on first just because it's easier to get at. Let's do that now. Here we go, belt goes on, small pulley to big pulley. Hand over the top, leverage with our right, guiding with our left. We're on. Belt tension feels pretty good. Everything's running smooth. Slides going back in. Okay, microphone stands. Thank you for your service. Oh, we came out of place, guys. We missed our track. Uh-oh. There it is. Perfect. We're going to replace this support rail that would keep this whole entire housing from sliding out and crashing onto the floor. 2, and our screws for the actual slide to move, 3 and 4. And then we took a couple out on this side because when I had pulled this out on Monday, it was really rusty and hard to get out. Nice. Everything's back in place. All right, our wires are all tied back up again. I put new tie wraps there because I had to cut this bundle to pull that housing out. We've replaced our high limit wires. They were getting in the way when we pull out the slide. We're going to close this panel up, start the unit up, check our amp draw, make sure our rotation's going the right way, and the job should be done. Okay guys, we're turning the power on. I know our fan's setting in on position. Should kick on any second. Like clockwork. So we're going to check our rotation and our airflow with this panel door. We're on the negative side of the unit, so if our fan is drawing the correct way, when I let go of this door, it should get sucked right in and slam shut. Awesome. One more time for good measure. Beautiful. We know our fan's going the right way. Now we'll quickly check our amp draw on our motor. So phase 1, 3.1 amps. Phase 2, 3 amps. Phase 3, 3.1 amps. So our highest leg's 3.1. You can average that around 3. Let's go check our motor rating plate. Okay guys, our amps on our rating plate here are 3.4 amps, so we're within our maximum. Everything sounds clean and healthy. With this blower wheel, our amperage is good. I think that's a job well done. All right, here's a little bonus ending for you guys. If you ever have a can of WD-40 or any type of lubricating spray that comes with a little straw, I saw this on TikTok and I use it all the time now. So the best way to not lose your little straw is you put a tie wrap around your can. You're gonna wanna cut that clean. And the little gap in between where your locking mechanism is, this straw fits perfect every time and it won't fall out. So there we go guys. If you enjoyed that video, please like, subscribe, and comment. I hope you guys have a good day. Take care.